Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Chance and it's Friday, so it's time for some hot takes. And you know what, today I'm gonna be traveling, so I need to keep this a little bit shorter, which means that I'm only gonna be doing 4 games instead of 5. I know, you clicked on this video expecting 5 and I am just letting it down right out of the gate. So I totally understand if you just leave right now. And also, it's not even Friday, today's Thursday. I'm gonna be in the air on Friday, so I can't even record on Friday. So I'm starting the video with a lie. Yeah, so we're start off to a rough start, which means I gotta make it up for it with some good games to talk about. So in today's hot takes, I'm gonna be talking about Rumble Nation, Fishing, Decorum, and Koinobori. I paused because I really hope I said that one right. I have a Japanese friend that literally told me how to say it, and I immediately forgot. Yeah, we'll get back to that. We're gonna kick things off with Rumble Nation. So talking about Japan, this is another game from Japan. Now this is going to be a reprint. It's one that was reprinted recently, has a new English edition out, and is becoming a little more widely available in, I guess, Canada and the US these days. Now Rumble Nation is it's a quick area control game. The setup for this game is really straight, it's really simple. Even the rules are very simple. It's a very quick teach. And the way the game works is that you're gonna take out this map board and it's going to have 12 regions on it. And in each one of those regions, you're gonna place a random large castle tile. Those large castles are gonna be numbered 2 to 12. And the way this game works is it has a little bit of a Catan element to it. It's basically you're gonna roll some dice, and if you're gonna take 2 of them and add them together, and that number is gonna be the region that you get to do a thing in. And now I know you're saying, okay, well, you have area control, you just told me about dice rolling, and you said Catan, and it's like, Chance, what are you doing to us? Like, this sounds incredibly random, and a true hobby gamer wouldn't be caught dead playing Catan. What are you doing? Okay, that's a lie. But people like it. I shouldn't be that harsh on it. But Rumble Nation, a player's choice on their turn is to either take a tactics card, we'll come back to that one, or roll 3 dice. Rolling those 3 dice means that you're gonna roll them, and then you're gonna take 2 of them and turn those into a pair and have a single die on the side. The pair of die is gonna determine the location that you get to add troops into, and that single die is going to determine how many troops you get to add. So all players start with, I think, a supply of 18 meeples, and essentially, let's say you roll a 4, 5, and a 2. So now you can pair those up however you want. Let's say you do the 4 and the 5 as the region. So you're going to region number 9, and then you have your 2 as your single die. For the single die, you basically divide by 2 and round up for the number of meeples. So a 2 divided by 2, you got 1. You get to place 1 meeple in region 9. And that's your turn. You're done. Pass on to the next player. Now, the game's gonna go pretty fast in these early rounds. People are gonna roll their dice, put out their troops, and the other option that you have after you roll those dice is that everyone always gets the option to do 1 reroll. You get to reroll all your dice, no cost. It's just if you do not like those 3 dice you got, you get the option to just reroll them again and take those 3 dice, but you only get to do it once. So this is cool because it turns it into a little bit of a push your luck element, especially as you get to that later game and you start to get into that situation where you're like, oh, I want to be in region number 10 really bad. And maybe you just rolled something where you're like, I have something I can do with this. Like, I think I have something I can pull out with these dice, but if I can get into region 10, that's going to be amazing. So do you reroll that dice and take that risk and possibly get something worse than what you currently have? Oh, that's where you get into some spicy choices in this game. Now, the other thing that's really cool are those tactics cards. So those tactics cards are things like maybe move a single troop into another region, maybe move it into an adjacent region, or maybe collect troops in the capital region. But these things are also single use for everyone at the table. So the number of tactics cards is equal to the number of players plus 1. And once a tactics card is used, it is out of the game. It is done. Now, in the first game that I played of this, I don't think these got utilized to their best ability, because I think these are supposed to be kind of the dice, the luck mitigation. Essentially, if you're struggling to get into a specific area, then maybe you use one of these tactics cards to kind of shift one of your troops into that critical location that you need to have some presence in. And this gets down to, why do you want presence in these areas? Maybe it's presence where you don't even have enough strength to win it. Maybe someone has like 5 troops there and you're just like, I want to get one guy. This all comes down to the final part of the game. After everyone has placed their troops, and I should mention that the first person to place all their troops gets to take the strongest tiebreaker. There's a tiebreaker for everyone in the game. Essentially, the first person to place them all gets the level 4 tiebreaker. The second person gets the level 3. So this way there is always going to be guaranteed a winner, and because people are placing troops at a different rate, it gives you a bit of an incentive to choose those dice that place more troops out faster. Because tiebreakers can be super important in this game. But what we're going to do is, after all the troops have been placed, you're going to go and start by processing region number 2. You're going to do it in ascending order. You're going to go to region number 2, and you're going to say who has the most power here, and they win the battle. They get to take that 2 token, and that is going to be worth 2 points. Not a lot. You know, the 12-point castle, worth a lot more. You probably want that one over the 2-point castle. But the person that won that region, they now get to put reinforcements in all adjacent regions that they have presence in. And reinforcements in a 4-player game mean that they get to place 2 reinforcements in every region that they are present in. So this turns into a really cool system where essentially winning those low number regions can have a cascading effect on the map. Like maybe you win number 2, which allows you to reinforce numbers 3, 6, and 8 or something. And then you come in and win number 3, and that 3 can reinforce 6 and 7 and 10. So now 6, you just got 2 sets of reinforcements in. That means you have an additional 4 troops there that you didn't place there during the round. So you now have an enormous amount of power that you just built up by managing to do the order of operations correctly when you're placing your troops. That's why you might want to just get 1 troop in a place where it looks like you're going to be super weak, but you know that you're going to be winning adjacent regions before that region processes. So you can get your reinforcements in there before that region is scored. And this is kind of the core of the game. Like once you understand how this scoring works, I think that is going to drive you on how you are going to be managing your dice. How are you going to be pushing your luck with those rolls? And how do you use those tactics cards to make sure you're in positions that you can take advantage of kind of that cascading reinforcement puzzle. And yeah, it's great. I really, really enjoyed this puzzle. I really like that you're going to place out those castles randomly every time, so you're going to have a completely different puzzle to deal with every time you play this. And I think the game that I played, the first game with a full teach, took about 30 minutes. So overall, this game had good decisions, I had good choices, had a little bit of push your luck. Now, I will say that some people might be just completely turned off by the fact that there's dice in this. The randomness might be a complete turn off for the area control. But I just feel like since it does play in such a quick time frame and it's just so easy to set up, there's very little takedown, no real management in the game. That's just, it's a winner in my book. It's honestly it's filling a gap in my collection that I didn't know I had. Like, I'm excited to bring this one back out to the table. I'm excited to use it as basically a little bit more an advanced filler. And yeah, I look forward to playing more Rumble Nation in the future. So right now, after a first play, yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it out. Okay, so changing gears, we're going to be switching over to a very different theme, and this is going to be fishing. So fishing is a game that got I would say a bunch of attention with some reviewers recently, and it went out of stock basically everywhere, and I've been watching to get a copy. Finally managed to pick up a copy of Fishing because I'm a fan of trick takers. I like playing weird trick takers. I think they're interesting. I grew up playing euchre, so I kind of was already indoctrinated in the language of trick takers, which means that it is easy to dive into these games and easy to kind of start enjoying them right away. That's definitely a barrier to a lot of trick takers, is that the fact that I would say trick takers are kind of their own language. Like, what does it mean when you play a low card of a suit? What does it mean when you play a trump card and try to draw out trump from, especially in partner trick takers? How do you communicate that information? So there's things in trick takers that it could be hard for someone that doesn't know that language to be good at these things. And fishing does something kind of neat. So instead of between rounds taking all the cards back, shuffling back up, and dealing out everyone's hand, what happens is that you're going to win cards, and those are going to go into your little personal stockpile. At the end of a round, everyone's just going to count the number of cards they have, and that is going to be their number of points. It's not number of tricks, it's number of cards that you have at the end of the round. Then you take those cards you won, you shuffle them up, and you throw them onto your own little personal draw pile. So this turns the trick taking into almost a deck builder. You're building your own little personal draw deck. Now, if a player does not have enough cards to draw enough cards for the next round, they get to draw from this, I think, like the Deep Ocean deck or something. And this deck is crazy because this is where all the good cards are. So this is where all the trump cards live. This is where all the higher numbered card lives. This is where all the cards with powers live. Like the cards we start the round with, they're crap. No one wants those cards. So what's interesting is that you can do super well in the first round, which what happened to me. I was playing at 3 players, which means we had 10 cards for the first round, which means 10 tricks and 30 cards total. I won 24 points. So yeah, I came out pretty good in that first round. But that also meant I didn't get to draw any cards from the Ocean deck for at least the next 2 rounds. I basically was in a situation where it was kind of like, I now have to just lose these next 2 rounds because everyone else is going to have stronger cards than me. There's like no hope for me to win this, which is a weird thing with a trick taker, because it turned things around into, usually trick takers are going round by round, and you're trying to just eke out the best thing you can with the hand that you're dealt. And trick takers mitigate the luck effect by having multiple rounds. Like Cat in the Box is going to have number of rounds equal to the number of players, trying to mitigate the bad luck of a crap hand or something in this game. Whereas fishing, your goal is to manage which rounds you win and which rounds you lose. You're trying to kind of time your pacing for winning and losing, to be able to manage to draw from the Ocean deck at those critical times, but to also be able to be earning enough points every round to kind of to make sure that you end up in the lead at the end. So it has a really neat, kind of very different pacing feel to it than a normal trick taker. This had some disadvantages. Number one is that it felt like maybe I didn't have a ton of control, because on that first round, it was kind of like, well, I got a bunch of high cards, so, and then another player got a bunch of low cards. It was kind of like one person got a bad hand, I got a good hand, which meant I was kind of in a position where it was going to be hard for me to lose a lot of tricks. Some trick takers take care of this by having a bidding mechanic. Like they're like, okay, bid on the number that you think you can win, and that's going to determine your points. But in this one, it was just kind of like, I'm going to win a lot of points. I got a good hand. Like that's just what this is. Which definitely makes it feel like you have a little less control, especially going into those next rounds where it's like, well, now I'm guaranteed to lose because I have all the garbage cards. And then the third round, it's like, well, I still have garbage cards, so I'm still going to lose. So I will say that, but this is something that happens with card games. I feel like with a lot of card games, it can feel like I don't have that control. And then I play the game more and I start to understand the depth of the strategy. And like I said, with fishing, I bet it's going to be kind of planning out which round you're going to try to win on. And when you win, you want to win big or something. And then which round you want to lose on, and figuring out how you can time your draws from that Ocean deck to kind of get the cards you need to start winning again. And just making sure you're doing things at that right tempo in the game. So I think there is going to be some depth in this one. But the other downside is that at 3 players, it was an 8-round trick taker. And I'm going to admit that I like my trick takers to be a little short and sweet. Like I want them to be done in 20-30 minutes. A 3-player game of fishing took about 40 minutes. That's going on the long side for me with a card game, even though I really like trick takers. Like it's one of my pet peeves with Skull King. While I really like Skull King, I feel like 10 hands starts to drag a bit at the end. So just a couple, I would say, early quibbles, early issues with the game. I do think there's something there and I want to try it again. I have some other friends that want to play it, so I expect to get to play it again. But I don't know if it's going to be staying long term. I don't think it's going to take over anything like Cat in the Box for me, or Ghost of Christmas, or Schadenfreude. So I don't know if it's going to stay in my collection long term, just because of those other trick takers that I love playing even more. Okay, next up, let's go on to something a little weird. This is going to be Decorum. So Decorum is an older game that a friend introduced me to, and I absolutely loved it. Now, Decorum is deduction game, a cooperative deduction game. Basically, you are two partners that are moving into a house or redecorating a house, and the board is going to be a house with 4 rooms in it. Each room can be painted a different color, and you can have up to 3 items in the house, like a lamp and a knickknack and something else. But essentially 3 items in each room. And those items can be different colors, and they can be different types. Like they can be antiques or modern or something. And then there's like 2 other types that you can have. So the way the game works is that for each scenario, the players are both going to get a card, and you're going to be one side of that partnership. And you have your own personal design goals that you're going for. Maybe it's something like, I don't want any antiques in the kitchen. You're not going to be able to tell your partner this. Or it's going to be like, I want the upstairs to be painted green. And those are your goals. And then the partner has goals that are going to be hard to achieve together, but they both have, there's a solution. Like the scenario has a solution. Overall, the deduction side of this, this is where it's hard to recommend. Like as a deduction puzzle, I don't think it was amazing. I really struggled to figure out what the other person was going for. Like there was so much going on with it that I struggled to try to eliminate the options and really understand what their goal was in the house. And I think the game solves this by having these sections where you have a heart-to-heart. Like after 15 rounds or whatever in a 2-player game, you're gonna have a heart-to-heart. And that just means you get to read off one of your requirements to the other player. It's gonna be like, look, my requirement was no antiques in the kitchen. And the other person goes, oh, that's why you keep taking those objects out of the kitchen. Like I've been trying to figure out what to put in there for ages. And then they'll tell you their thing will be like, I want the downstairs to be yellow. And you're like, I don't care what color the downstairs is. So great, you do what you want. So then those heart-to-hearts, and then you're gonna have another one. I think we usually got the puzzles, so we played 2 rounds or 2 scenarios. We got the puzzles after the second heart-to-heart. I think it's gonna be near impossible to figure it out before that first heart-to-heart. Which, yeah, that makes it hard to call it a solid deduction game because it's hard to deduce. But the part I loved about this was the fact that it landed almost more as a role-playing game to me. I think that if you have lived with somebody, or you currently live with someone, or you have a partner that you moved in with, and you have gone through the process of redecorating space with that person, I think this game's amazing. Because I'm married, and my wife and I, we just got done redecorating our living room, and basically Decorum landed during this great timing where I just got done dealing with some of those things. Because in the Decorum, what happens is on a player's turn, they get to change one thing about one of the rooms. They get to remove something, or they get to place an item, and then your partner either says, I love it, or I hate it. And this just reminds me of like the coffee table for our living room. My wife shows me a coffee table, and I'm like, no, that's not going in this house. Nope, please no. So Decorum was basically a recreation of that. It's this recreation of these relationship struggles and these communication issues that I think are going to land with a good number of people that have been through these situations. But it makes light of it. Like it is it's kind of like taking those struggles for a couple, for a partnership, and it's saying, hey, isn't this funny? Like, isn't this a funny thing to be angry about? Isn't this a funny thing to be upset about? So I really enjoyed playing Decorum for that reason. I think that, yeah, like I said, if you have been in that situation, like if you have experienced that in real life, I think Decorum might land for you. I think it's very possible. If you have not, and you're just looking at it as a pure deduction puzzle, probably not worth it. I don't know if that's going to be your best choice for a deduction game. But personally, I am very excited to play more Decorum. All right, last game on the list, and this is taking already way too long. I don't know, maybe it's all the random mumbling I do in between all my games here, but this is gonna be Koinobori. As I mentioned, I was told how to pronounce it. I totally forgot. I hope I said that right. Koinobori is a game about a Japanese festival where I honestly don't know enough about it. I think they're hanging Japanese, like these colorful fish flags on these poles. Overall, the game looks pretty. That's why I bought it. it looks pretty. I did read the rules and I said, this sounds like it might be kind of an interesting card game, but mostly I looked at the box and I was like, ooh, that looks pretty. And it's an import that I couldn't get in the US, so I was excited about the fact that I could buy this and have this thing that a lot of people won't have because, yeah, you know, being in that special case where it's like, oh, no one's seen this. And I get to show this to my friends. So yeah, that's why I got Koinobori. And overall, it's good. I like it. I like the game. I will also mention before going too much further that I did read on BGG that Devere is expected to pick this title up. I think they have picked it up and they're going to be doing another print run to make it a little more widely available. So if you like what I described, then don't worry, it's not an import forever. There should be more copies coming in the near future. But yeah, overall, it was a good time. It's kind of one of those stock games where you're going to basically be placing cards secretly in front of you to try to align yourself with certain colors, and then you're going to try to get those colors to be the most prominent on the central board. So basically, everyone has their own personal pole, and then there's going to be a number of central poles depending on player count. And then you're going to have cards that are going to have either 1 to 3 of those fish flags on them in various colors. Maybe it'll have 1 color on it, maybe it'll have 3 colors on it. And essentially you can place one of those as your bid. If you place one of those 1 color flags on there, that might be a little risky. So maybe you want to put down, and you also, those are going to be multipliers. So the more of the same color you have in your flagpole, so like if you have 3 greens, that's going to be a multiplier. So you're going to have 3 times whatever. If green wins on a flagpole, that will get you a boatload of points. So the way the central flagpoles work is that you're going to be placing those flags, and there can be up to 5 flags in each flagpole. Once all the flagpoles are full, the game is over and you just go into scoring. There is some interesting things happening during the game. So on a turn, players can either draw a card, and there's going to be a market of cards. It's going to be 7 cards, and it only refills when there's 3, and you can only take from the ends, which is kind of neat. Or you can play a card. So playing a card will be either to face down on your little personal pole as your kind of like secret bid or your secret stock that you're trying to go for, and the other one is playing it on the central board. And what's cool is as you put down those personal bids, you actually power up your abilities a little bit. Like you increase your hand size, you increase the number of cards you can draw on your turn. You even increase the number of cards you can play on the central board. Like you start with 1, and then if you get out 3 of your bids, which are that's the number, if you get 3 cards out, you increase the number of plays to the central board to 2, which is big because that's now driving towards the end of the game. But not everyone's making these bids at the same rate, so you might be allowed to play 2 cards, whereas the next player can only play 1 card to the central grid. So now you're getting a little more control over placing those cards out. But you've also made your bids earlier in the round, so there's a lot more flexibility on what's going to happen in the end. So while you're going to be able to put out more flag cards, you still need to draw cards too to get those out of the flagpole. So you're taking kind of a risk by putting out your bids early, whereas those other players maybe are biding their time to figure out what's going to be in the lead at the end of the game. And this is where that scoring comes in with the end of the game. So after we fill up all those flagpoles, we're going to look at each one of them and we're going to see what color is the dominant color on that flagpole. So maybe green is dominant on the first flagpole. It has 5 green in the next flag, like there's 4 orange, and then so on and so on. So we're going to take 5 green, and you're going to look at your personal flagpole and multiply it by the number of green you have. So if we had 3 green on your personal, 5 green on that flagpole, you get 3 times 5, 15 points. And then we move on to the next flagpole and see what scores and do the multiplication again. Now, the thing that's neat about these flagpoles is that ties are just canceling. So let's say on that first flagpole, there were 5 green, but then 5 orange. That means green and orange don't score at all. And now we're looking for the third most. Maybe there's 3 pink. So now we're going to score pink instead of green or orange on that flagpole. But maybe there's 3 blue on that flagpole too. So pink and blue have just tied for second place, or well, third and fourth, I guess. They also cancel. So now we look for the next most. Maybe there's 1, I don't know, purple or something. So now purple's scoring, but there's only 1 flag, so 1 multiplier. But essentially if the whole flagpole it's ties all the way down, you just score, there's a base color for each flagpole, and it just scores 1 point for whatever that base color is. So it has this cool thing where maybe someone's going hard on a certain color on a flagpole, and you see it, and you realize, ooh, I can throw a card down to get the orange and green to tie on that one. And that'll just make it so whatever they're going for is going to knock their points right out. So I think that's kind of the core of this game, is kind of that tie system and trying to get your stock that you put in to be winning on those flag points. Then at the very end, essentially you have these cards that you're going to flip over for each color that scores, and there's going to be a number of colors that don't score, and you're going to get minus points for each one of those colors that don't score. Which brings up another thing I really like about this game, is that I like it when in games you can go negative in points. I think I don't like it when a game, especially a light game, is just like you can get 0 points and you get to the end of it and it's like, I didn't do very well. Like, that wasn't very fun. But when a game has negative points, now you're like, oh, I got -5. But the score tracker goes back to -15. I could have done worse. So next time, maybe we'll see if I do worse. I think for me, for some reason, that is just something I think makes the game slightly more enjoyable. I don't know if that lands with everybody, but I find it kind of boring when it's just like, I got 0 points at the end of the game. When you can be like, I got -5 and I could have gotten lower, now we're cooking. The other thing in this game to pay attention to is really, I think the core of the game during the round is that card market. I don't think any of us knew this and paid attention to it enough during our first play, because essentially that card market tells you what cards are going to be prominent in players' hands, because you can't draw from the top of the deck. Everyone gets to see the cards that are available that people will be drawing. So you have an idea of what colors are going to be most prominent in people's hands. So this gives you an idea of maybe what you should be bidding on, because you kind of have an idea of all the colors that are going to be available on the table. Now, there are some cards that are kind of neat that will do things like clear the market when you play them and stuff. So there are some neat little twists in this. And overall, this is a nice little game. It kind of lands in the same category as Courtesans for me, because it is kind of that stock, that central board placement with your own little scoring placement. I do find Courtesans a little easier to teach, a little more snappy, but Koinobori, it's a genre that I enjoy, and I do really like the art. My only quibble with it is that the flag colors could have been a little more distinct. I'm not colorblind, but for some reason, looking at these cards, I was still like, oh, that light green and that dark green they are not different enough. But it is a really pretty game, and I enjoyed my first play of this, and I'm gonna bring it out a few more times. And we're back. My camera decided to overheat on me, and yeah, so I really need to get to packing. This is not helping me with my time management right now. So let's do this final wrap up. Starting with Rumble Nation. I really enjoyed my first play of this. I thought it was amazing. I really like the dice. I like that kind of little push your luck mechanic of having that option for the reroll. Those tactic cards, I want to explore more and try to utilize those a bit more in my next game. And I just love that cascading mechanism where winning those battles can cascade reinforcements across the map for you. So just managing, or well, trying to manage, because it is that luck-based system. The order you win these locations in, I think, is a really, really cool mechanic. And the fact that it plays so quick, I'm excited to bring it out again. Some people might just hate the dice rolling though, so, totally understandable. The next up, fishing. It was a good trick taker. I enjoyed playing it. It went on a little long, and I didn't feel like I had a ton of control in this first play of it, but I do feel like there's going to be some depth there, and I have some friends that are interested in playing it, so I do expect to play this one a few more times. I still question if it's going to replace some of my other favorite trick takers. Right now, it just feels more of a novelty to me than something that's going to stay in my collection long term. Next up, Decorum. So Decorum, absolutely loved it as a deduction game. Maybe not the best, but as a bit of a role-playing deduction game, as a bit of a role-playing game with you and a partner decorating a space and having kind of that, making lighthearted humor about kind of something that can be a pretty difficult relationship issue, I think it's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed the design of this game, and I am excited to revisit Decorum. Then finally, Koinobori. This one, it looks great. It's this nice little stock one. It is a pleasant game. I don't think I have anything to say about it it's not amazing. It's not going to be one of my best fillers. I do want to bring it out again and play it a couple more times. I think that market system is kind of neat. I think the powers of the cards are kind of neat. So there are some interesting elements in here that I think are worth bringing it back to the table. So let me know if you have any thoughts about these games, any questions on the games, or if you played these and have a different opinion on them. Definitely let me know, especially in fishing. I want to hear what other people think about fishing besides kind of mainstream reviewers, you know? But yeah, as always, so thank you for watching and thank you for spending your time with me. And of course, please like and subscribe.